Good morning. It is 6:56 a.m. on Friday, November 5th, 2021. Wait, am I forgetting something about today? Oh well. Before I get started on other content, I have a public service announcement that I'm reading on behalf of my little dog Rocket. He would just like all of you to give some thought to the dogs in your life and to understand that they are so hungry. And if there is a dog in your life, then you should just give them some yummy food, preferably whatever you're having. And just let them eat something for a change because they're so hungry. All right, this has been a public service announcement in support of hungry dogs, or to support the hungry dogs by giving them food, as opposed to supporting the idea that dogs should be hungry, because no one wants that. Anyway, I went to go see Eternals last night. I keep having to catch myself because I keep wanting to say The Eternals, but I guess it doesn't actually have the in the title. It's just Eternals. This is the newest Marvel movie. It is based on comics property characters that I really know nothing about. But that said, there's been movies made so far about characters that I didn't know anything about ahead of time. Like when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, I really didn't have any real investment in those characters at all, other than just to say, like, isn't there like a raccoon or something? That seems cute. So like I don't have, just from my own personal context, I don't have any background in or understanding of those characters from the comics. But what I will say is that I like the movie a lot. I can definitely see why it would be divisive for some folks, especially on account of it kind of being an odd little hybrid of starting to really stretch the boundaries of what Marvel Cinematic Universe movies can be, trying to break out of that formula a little bit, but still not being an entirely different kind of movie. And so I think that you're going to have the people who really like the Marvel Cinematic Universe formula. Some of them are going to say, well, hey, I don't like the ways that you're doing stuff different. And then you're going to have the people who don't like the MCU formula saying it's not different enough. I shouldn't put emotion on that. People like what they like. But the point just being is that it's unusual in that regard compared to most Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. It's slower, it's more thoughtful. The questions that the characters must answer and the threats that they face have a complexity to them that is not generally true. Um, like, for example, in Black Panther, which is another one that I like it, and so this is not a criticism of Black Panther by any stretch, but so that has been widely heralded for a while. That is one of the more sophisticated MCU movies up to this point, because there's an element where you can say that the main character, or rather like the villain, Killmonger, in that movie has like a point, like the injustice that he is seeking to um, to overturn is real, and it's just that we disagree with the methods that he's planning to use to go about it and what he sees as the final end state, right? So, but in this one, it's presented more as almost a contextual thing. Like, we can certainly understand, like, I'm doing my best not to spoil anything, but basically there's, it probably won't surprise you that at some point Earth is under threat, right? But what I'll just say is that, like, certainly, what we live on Earth. We don't want Earth to be under threat. And so we want that to be protected, but the flip side of it, there's a complexity and a nuance to exactly what it is that's happening and what should be done about it. Um, and all of that is, I think, some interesting nuance and complexity that I appreciated, that I liked. I liked that, I mean, for a movie that is introducing 10 brand new characters, to some extent, it does that by structurally taking the form of an Ocean's 11 getting the group back together sort of movie, which works because I was pretty impressed that we are left knowing at least something about all of these 10 new superhero characters. That's a big group of people to introduce all at once in a in a fiction that's usually not the case for. Um, but I liked it a lot. So there's that, like I said, there's a slower pace, there's more complexity, there's some departures from what has kind of in some been a little bit of a soup of the MCU aesthetics, which is not to say a bad thing, and like there are certainly some exceptions, but I feel like it has some departures there visually, and yeah, I think if I sound hesitant at all, it's just because I can definitely understand people not liking it. Like if someone, like I read a review last night after I saw it that was saying that the Polygon review headline for it was that it dreams big but falls hard. And like I read that article and I didn't precisely disagree with anything he said, the reviewer said, except to just say that we seemed to disagree on whether it was successful or not at achieving the things it sets out to do. And I'm like, for me it worked, and for them it didn't. And I don't know. There's no bridge to cross there, right? It's like, but so like that said, I can understand some people not liking it, but I did. I liked it a lot. I like the broadening of what MCU movies can be. Um, I liked that it gave me reasons to care about these characters, all these new characters that I had no investment in before. I liked the spectacle that it provided and the way that it did, and the themes that are included here. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I will leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.